Come in, you're safe here. Take your time, no rush. This space is yours now. Let the world stay outside for a while. It doesn't need you right now. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to say anything. Just relax, lay down. If you can, turn off the lights. Pull the blanket up around your shoulders. Let your breath slow, just a little. You're not here to perform. You're not here to be perfect. You're here to rest, to listen, to heal the fires already burning. Can you feel its warmth flickering in the background of your thoughts? Soft light, gentle crackle, a glow that asks for nothing in return. And me, I'm here with you, just a voice that doesn't judge you, doesn't push you. A voice that understands what it's like to carry too much for too long. Let me say something to you, and I want you to hear it like it's the first time you've ever heard it. Even if it isn't, it's not your fault. I know, those words feel heavy, don't they? Maybe a little unbelievable. Maybe like a lie wrapped in kindness. But it's not. It's the truth. And if you give me just a little time, I'll help you believe it. You see, you didn't get here because you're weak. You didn't end up exhausted because you're lazy. You didn't lose your way because you're broken. You got here because you were strong for too long. Because you didn't have the support you needed. Because you learned to carry pain before you ever learned to ask for help. And that's not your fault. I've sat with people like you, the quiet fighters, the ones who show up for others over and over, even when their own heart is breaking. The ones who smile in public and cry alone. The ones who say, I'm fine, while screaming silently in the back of their mind. And they all have one thing in common. They think it's their fault. They think they failed somewhere, that they should have known better, should have left earlier, should have been stronger, should have done more. But that voice, the one that keeps blaming you, that's not your voice. That's the voice of pain. That's the echo of all the people who made you feel like your needs didn't matter. That's the whisper of past wounds, still unhealed. Let's quiet that voice now. Let me speak louder than the shame, because again, it's not your fault. Let's take an example. Let's talk about someone I once counseled. We'll call him Jason. Jason was a high performer, smart, respected, always on. People came to him for advice, for help, for solutions. But Jason had no one to go to. He never learned how to ask for help. He thought needing comfort made him weak. He thought resting was for people who hadn't earned their pain. One night, he called me from his car. He couldn't go home. He couldn't cry in front of his kids. And he couldn't breathe without feeling like a failure. Do you know what he said? I don't know what's wrong with me. I have a good job, a beautiful family. I should be grateful. Why do I feel so empty? Sound familiar? That's the thing about emotional collapse. It doesn't always wait for chaos. Sometimes it comes when life looks fine on the outside. Sometimes it comes when you've been holding your breath for years. Jason wasn't broken. He was just tired. Tired of being the strong one. Tired of carrying everyone else. Tired of never being allowed to fall apart. And just like you, it wasn't his fault. He was raised to survive, not to feel. He learned to solve problems, not process pain, but he changed. Slowly, gently, he began giving himself permission to rest, to cry, to say no, to stop over-explaining his emotions. You can change too. Let's talk about your inner critic. That voice that says, I should have known better. I stayed too long. I caused this. I'm too emotional. I'm not strong enough. That voice isn't you. That voice was planted by people who dismissed you, by experiences that hurt you, by moments where your boundaries were ignored. You don't have to listen to it anymore. Let's take a deeper breath now. Inhale through your nose. Slowly, hold it, and let it go again, this time. Let the air carry away a tiny piece of that shame. And now, let me tell you something else. You are not your mistakes. You are not your past. You are not the worst thing you ever did, or the worst thing ever done. To you, you were the person who survived it, the one still searching for healing, the one still willing to sit by the fire and listen, and that's beautiful. Let's try a different perspective. Picture yourself as a small child, 7 years old, curious, sensitive, trying to figure out the world. Would you yell at that child? For crying, would you blame them for being scared? For trusting the wrong person? For not knowing how to protect themselves? No, you'd hug them, you'd hold them, you'd say, it's not your fault. So why are you so cruel to the grown-up version of that child, to yourself? You're still that same person, still learning, still growing, still healing, and you deserve kindness, even if no one taught you how to give it to yourself. Let's go back to the fire. It's still glowing, still crackling softly in the background. You haven't moved. You're safe here. There's no one to impress. No deadlines. No pressure. Only this moment. Only this breath. Only this truth. You are not too far gone. Not too broken. Not too late. Not too much. Not too sensitive. Not too emotional. You are just human. And being human is messy. It's full of heartbreak, and confusion, and overthinking, and wrong turns. But it's also full of second chances. This voice, it's not here to fix you, because you're not broken. It's here to remind you of what you've forgotten. That healing is possible. That rest is allowed. That softness is strength. That tears are holy. That this pain will not last forever. Right now, you might not feel strong. You might feel heavy, lost, empty, maybe even numb. That's okay. Feeling nothing is still a feeling. Numbness is what your body does when it's trying to protect you from pain it hasn't processed yet. So if that's where you are, I accept it. No pressure to feel anything tonight. Just be here. That's enough. Let me remind you, one more time. It's not your fault. Say it with me, quietly. It's not my fault. Again, it's not my fault. Say it until the shame starts to loosen its grip. Say it until your heart starts to believe it. Because it's true, and I'll be here to remind you, as many times as you need. Tonight, let yourself rest. You've carried enough. Let this fire be your companion. Let this voice hold space for you. Let your eyes grow heavy. Let your breath guide you home. You're not alone anymore. You're not lost. You're just tired. And that's okay. Sleep now. We'll talk again soon. You're still here. That means something. It means you're willing to keep going, even when it's uncomfortable. Even when you're tired, even when you're not sure what healing looks like, and that is strength. I know the world never taught you to call it that, but being here, listening, staying with your own pain instead of running from it, that is real courage. So, before we go deeper, take another moment to breathe. Let's return to that safe space we imagined. The fire is still glowing, low and warm. Soft shadows dance across the walls. You're wrapped in stillness, in safety. Let everything else fall away again for the next little while. There is nothing to solve, no one to take care of, no roles to play, just you and this moment. Let's talk about guilt. It's one of the heaviest things people carry, especially people like you. You see, guilt often lingers where there was once love, or responsibility, or control. It shows up after the storm, after you've made the decision, after the silence stretches longer than expected. And suddenly, you're wondering, was it really their fault? Could I have tried harder? Did I overreact? Am I the one who gave up? Let me stop you with softness, not force, and say this. You are allowed to have boundaries. You are allowed to walk away from people who hurt you, even if you love them. You are allowed to protect your peace, even if it means disappointing others. Guilt is not always a sign that you did something wrong. Sometimes, guilt is a sign that you're finally doing what's right for you, for the first time in a long time. Let me tell you about someone else. Someone like you. Her name was Mayra. She came to me after cutting off a relationship with her older sister. From the outside, it looked cold, abrupt, but the inside was a different story. For years, her sister manipulated her, used guilt to control her, dismissed her boundaries, turned every no into a betrayal. And Mayra stayed, because family is supposed to stick together, right? Because she's just like that, and you're overreacting. Until one day, Mayra couldn't do it anymore. She blocked her number. She cried herself to sleep, and the next morning, she felt free. And then the guilt came. Loud, heavy, sharp. That's when she came to me. She whispered, "Am I a bad person for needing space from someone who's family?" No, you are never a bad person for protecting your heart, especially when others refuse to. You don't owe anyone your suffering, not even your parents, not even your oldest friend, not even the version of you that stayed too long. What you owe is honesty to yourself. And sometimes that honesty sounds like, "I don't feel safe here anymore," or "I love you, but I can't keep bleeding for you," or even "This is destroying me, and I have to walk away." That's not selfish. That's survival, and survival isn't shameful. Let me ask you something. When was the last time someone sat with you, truly sat and asked, "How are you really?" Not for a quick answer, not to give advice, but just to hold space for your truth. Maybe never. Maybe you don't even know how to answer that question anymore. Let's try it here. How are you, really? And I don't need your answer to be perfect. You can be messy here. You can be confused. You can say, "I don't know. I just feel heavy." That's more than enough. Sometimes people think healing has to look pretty. Yoga, mats, journals, herbal tea. But real healing looks like laying on the floor because you can't get out of bed. It looks like ignoring your phone because you don't have the energy to pretend. It looks like crying in the car before walking into work. It looks like whispering, "I'm trying" to yourself while brushing your teeth at 3 a.m. That's healing. 2. You're not behind. You're not failing. You're just in the thick of it. And even if no one else claps for you, I will. Right here, in this moment. For surviving. For feeling. For being brave enough to show up again and again when it would have been easier to disappear. Let's go deeper into why you think this is all your fault. It probably started young. Maybe you grew up in a home where the emotional weather changed suddenly, where you had to become a mind reader, where love was earned, not freely given, where being good meant being silent. And so you learned, if something goes wrong, it must be me. If someone leaves, it's because I'm not enough. If I'm in pain, it's probably my fault. But that was never the truth. That was the lens you were taught to see yourself through. Distorted, warped, tinted with other people's wounds. Let me help you clean that lens. Let me remind you of what is true. You are not responsible for other people's inability to love you. You are not the reason someone else couldn't stay. You are not the cause of someone else's violence, silence, betrayal, or absence. You are responsible only for what you do with your pain now, and you're already doing something incredible. You're facing it. Let's talk about one more thing before we close this part. Letting yourself be helped. For people like you, the strong ones, that's often the hardest step. You're used to being the helper, the one others lean on, the one who figures it out, the one who holds it together. But even the strongest trees fall if their roots rot from neglect. Even the sun goes down and lets the night take over for a while. Even the ocean rests in stillness sometimes. You deserve help. You don't have to heal alone. You don't have to carry the whole mountain just because you can. Let others show up. For you, let people love you without needing you to perform strength. Let kindness in, even when you don't feel worthy of it, because you are worthy, even on your worst day, even when you feel empty, even when you're too tired to give anything back. You are not a burden. You are a human being who deserves rest, love, and support. The fire's still here. So am I, so are you. And every moment you stay, every breath you take with intention, every thought you challenge is a step closer to the peace you're searching for. You don't have to fix everything tonight. You don't have to understand it all. You don't even have to believe me yet. But just for tonight, can you let the possibility in that maybe, just maybe, it really isn't your fault? Welcome back. You stayed. That matters. It may not feel like a big deal, but it is. Because every time you choose to show up for yourself, even just to listen, that's healing. Not the loud kind, not the glamorous kind, but the quiet, deep kind, the kind that sticks. So once again, let yourself settle. The fire is still burning, soft and steady. The world can stay outside the door. This moment belongs to you. Breathe in slowly through your nose. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw unclench. Let your belly rise, not your chest. And exhale with softness. There's no pressure here, just space, just warmth, just this. Voice, you're not here to fix yourself. You're here to remember that you don't need fixing. Let's talk about something no one talks about enough. Emotional numbness. Not sadness, not anxiety, not fear, just emptiness. Have you ever felt like that? Like your emotions have packed their bags and left? Like you know you should be feeling something, but you don't. Not happy, not sad, just flat, grey, silent. That's not you being broken. That's your nervous system doing its job. You see, when your body experiences too much fear, too much grief, too much pressure, it can shut down to protect you. Think of it like a circuit breaker. The system gets overloaded, and everything shuts off for a while. Not because you're failing, but because you've been through too much. So if you feel numb, disconnected, foggy, or not yourself, it's not your fault. It's not weakness. It's biology. Your body is still trying to keep you safe, even now. But here's the truth you might need to hear tonight. You can come back, not to the old you, because they were carrying too much anyway, but to the version of you that feels again, connects again, lives again, and it starts with trust, not with trusting other people, not with trusting the world, but with trusting yourself. And I know that's hard. When you've been through betrayal, chaos, neglect, or deep shame, self-trust is the first thing to go. You begin to doubt your feelings. You question your reactions. You silence your instincts. You convince yourself you're too much or too sensitive. You begin to believe that your emotions are dangerous, but they're not. They are signals, messages, clues. They're not here to hurt you. They're here to guide you. Let me give you an example. There was a client named Rafi. He always joked that he was emotionally numb, said he hadn't cried in 12 years, that he didn't even get angry anymore, just tired when we started. Working together, he said, I don't even know who I am anymore. I feel like a robot. Sound familiar? He wasn't a robot. He was a human who had learned to survive by shutting down. A child who learned early on that feeling was dangerous. That emotion meant vulnerability, and vulnerability got punished. So he buried it all. He became the dependable one, the calm one, the one who never made a scene, until one day he couldn't feel anything at all, not even joy. We began gently, no pressure to feel, no forced tears, just one simple question. When do you feel the most like yourself? His answer surprised even him. He said, when I walk in the rain with no umbrella, it's like I remember something. I can't explain it. That was it. That's where we started. That one moment of connection. That one tiny flicker of truth. That one door barely cracked open. That's how self-trust begins. Not with big, dramatic breakthroughs, but with whispers. So let me ask you that same question. When do you feel the most like yourself? Maybe it's when you're alone in nature. Maybe it's when you're listening to music at night. Maybe it's when you're creating something, even if it's messy. Or maybe you don't know yet. That's okay too. You don't need all the answers. You just need curiosity. You just need to pay attention to what feels like truth in your body. Let's slow down for a second. Bring your awareness back to your breath. Don't force it. Just watch it. Feel it rise and fall. Notice how you're breathing even without trying. That's trust. Your body is doing its part, even when you're not paying attention, even when your mind is racing, even when your heart feels heavy. You're still here, still alive, still worthy. You don't have to earn your breath. You don't have to earn your rest. You don't have to earn your healing now. Let's talk about rebuilding. Because once you've been numb or disconnected or dissociated for a long time, you may feel like you've lost who you are. You haven't. You've just been far from home. Coming home to yourself is a process. It looks like feeling something small and letting it stay. Sitting with discomfort instead of running. Asking, what do I really need right now? And listening it. Looks like being patient with the parts of you that are scared. Like saying, hey, I know we shut down before because it wasn't safe. But maybe now we can try again. Just a little, just for today. You might also feel resistance. That's normal sometimes, when emotions start to come back after a long time of suppression. They come back loud, overwhelming, messy, sharp. You might think, I liked it better when I felt nothing. But that's just fear talking. Fear of being flooded. Fear of losing control. Fear of not knowing what to do with it all. Let me tell you this. You don't need to control your emotions. You just need to be present with them, like a good friend. You don't need to fix them, just stay. Emotions don't want to drown you. They want to be seen, heard, and allowed to move. And when they move, you heal. Let's return to the fire, still burning, still steady, still here, like you. There's something else I want you to know. Maybe something you've never considered. You are already healing, even now, even in this moment, even in your doubt, even in your numbness. Healing isn't always visible. Sometimes it's invisible things, like choosing rest instead of punishment, saying no when your whole life you said yes, crying in the dark and not apologizing, reaching out when it feels scary, sitting with your pain instead of pushing it down. You don't need a breakthrough to prove you're growing. You're growing right now. Let me close this part with a gentle reminder. It's okay not to feel everything. It's okay not to know who you are right now. It's okay to come back to yourself, slowly. It's okay to be rebuilding. You are not broken, you are becoming. And becoming takes time. It takes rest. It takes repetition. It takes nights like this, slow, soft, sacred. You don't have to rush. You don't have to perform. You just have to stay with yourself. Tonight, do just that. Lay down, be still. Let your body hold you. Let this voice remind you, you are coming home, one small breath at a time. And remember, even now, even in this moment, it's not your fault. You are safe now. Let that truth hold you as you drift. You made it back. That says something about you. It says you're not giving up on yourself, even if part of you still wants to. That you're still reaching, still listening, still holding on to the quiet hope that things can feel different. And I'm here for that. I'm here for you. The fire's still burning, not just in this room, but inside you. That soft flicker that refuses to go out, no matter how long it's been dark. You've walked through so much already. You've bent under burdens that would have broken most. And even if no one ever said it before, I want to say it now. I see how hard you're trying, even when no one claps, even when it feels invisible, even when it feels like you're not getting anywhere. I see it, and it matters. Let's take a breath together, in slowly and out even slower. Let your body soften. Let your mind be quiet, just for now. You don't need to be on. You don't need to figure anything out. Just let this voice guide you and let yourself rest in it. Tonight, I want to talk about something that shows up often in people like you, people who are healing quietly. It's this heavy, aching sense of isolation, like you're walking this road alone, like no one truly gets what you're going through. Maybe people say the right things, maybe they offer advice, but inside, there's still a gap, a feeling of being unseen, misunderstood, or left behind. And that loneliness, that isolation, is not a flaw in you. It's not weakness. It's part of the healing path that no one really warns you about. Because when you begin to heal, truly heal, you start pulling away from the versions of yourself that fit into places you no longer belong. You stop performing. You stop overgiving. You stop pretending. And when you do that, some people fade. Some relationships shift. Some connections feel empty. That's real. That hurts. It's like shedding a skin, except that skin was the version of you the world liked best. The agreeable one. The helpful one. The one who never said no. And when that version fades, silence often follows. But listen to me now. That silence doesn't mean you're failing. It doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're becoming. And the space that feels so empty right now, it's not punishment. It's preparation for the new, for the aligned, for the people who will see you fully, not just for what you give, but for who you are. Still, I know It's hard to sit in that in-between. You're not who you used to be, but you're not yet who you're becoming. That middle space is messy, lonely, quiet, but that's where the real shift happens. That's where you find the strength that isn't loud, the kind of strength that doesn't need applause, just breath. And that brings me to something else I want to offer you tonight, a different definition of strength. Because maybe all your life you thought strength was about endurance, about surviving, about pushing through pain without flinching. Maybe people praised you for being resilient, when really you were just suppressing. Maybe you were told to keep going, stay strong, don't let it break you. But let me ask you, what if breaking isn't failure? What if it's an opening? What if strength isn't pretending you're okay, but being honest when you're not? What if strength isn't keeping it all together, but allowing yourself to fall apart safely? What if the strongest thing you'll ever do is let someone see the parts of you that aren't polished, aren't perfect, aren't pleasing? Let that sink in. Let it change the way you see your own softness. Because softness isn't weakness. Vulnerability isn't a flaw. And needing help isn't shameful. It's human. Let me tell you about someone who learned that the hard way. His name was Timer. He was always the rock, in his family, at work, even in friendships. Everyone leaned on him. He never complained, never showed emotion. People thought he was unshakable. Until one day, he didn't show up to work, and no one could reach him. When I finally met with him weeks later, he said something I'll never forget. I've been strong for so long, I forgot how to be a person. That hit me. Because I've heard variations of that from so many people. And maybe you felt it too. Like you're living in survival mode. Always alert. Always bracing for impact. Never really resting. But you deserve more than that. You deserve to be a person again. Not just a role. Not just a provider. Not just a performer of strength. A human with softness and sadness and laughter and joy. And the first step back to that, allowing your breakdowns to speak, to be seen, to be held. Timer started small. He didn't do anything drastic. He just started naming what he felt. He let a friend sit with him in silence. He started journaling before bed. He stopped apologizing for being tired. And slowly, he returned to himself. That's what I want for you, to come back to the self underneath the armor. The self who's still waiting to be seen. The self who doesn't need to be impressive, just real. Let's take another breath together. Let your exhale be longer than your inhale. That signals your nervous system to slow down, to drop its guard. Let your limbs get heavier. Let your mind go quiet. You're safe now. Let me remind you of something that might feel foreign to you. You are allowed to be cared for. Not just useful, not just capable. Cared for, loved, held. Maybe you've spent your life being needed but never truly cherished. Maybe you're used to being appreciated for what you do, not for who you are. But you are not just your output. You are not just your productivity. You are not just a list of achievements. You are a person worthy of rest. Even when you haven't earned it. You are a soul worthy of kindness. Even when you've made mistakes. You are a heart worthy of softness. Even when the world has hardened. You, tonight, I want to invite you to believe something different. Just for this moment. Just for the length of this breath, that you don't have to keep proving your worth, that you can stop fighting just for now, that laying down doesn't mean giving up. It means trusting that it's okay to let go. And if no one has ever told you this before, I'm telling you now, You don't have to be strong in the way you were taught. You get to be strong in your own way. Quietly, gently, honestly, in the stillness, in the softness, in the surrender. Let me say it again. You don't need to earn your right to rest. You don't need to hide your pain to be lovable. You don't need to hold it all together to be enough. This fire is for you. This moment is for you. This voice, soft and slow, is for you. You can lay it all down now. Let your eyes close. If they haven't already, let your breath deepen. Let your thoughts slow down and grow distant. You're not being watched. You're not being measured. You're simply being. And that is enough. You are enough, not because of what you've done, not because of what you've overcome, but because you exist. And even if your heart is still heavy, even if your eyes sting from tears, even if your mind is still doubting, I hope one thing begins to settle deep in your soul tonight. It's not your fault, and from that truth, a new kind of strength will rise, one breath at a time, one soft night at a time. We'll be here again soon. You're not alone. Let yourself rest now. You're safe. You're home. You're becoming. And you are deeply, deeply loved. You're still here, still breathing, still listening. That's a kind of miracle. And I hope you can feel it, even just a little. Not in some loud, dramatic way, but in the way your body feels a little softer than it did yesterday. In the way your heart didn't shut down completely this time. In the way you're beginning to recognize the flicker of life returning to your bones. You've survived enough. Now let's talk about what comes next. Not the pressure to be healed. Not the fantasy of waking up one day and suddenly everything's fixed. But something slower, gentler, more real. Let's talk about rebuilding. You see, when you've lived in survival mode for a long time, when your nervous system has been on high alert for years, the idea of peace can feel suspicious, like you're waiting for something to go wrong, like your body doesn't know how to rest without guilt, like your mind keeps whispering, "Don't get too comfortable. This won't last." That's not your fault either. It's conditioning. It's trauma. It's the legacy of always having to be alert, ready, braced. But here's the thing no one told you. Peace is not the absence of chaos. It's the presence of trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in your choices. Trust that you are allowed to be okay, without waiting for something to go wrong. Let that sink in. I want to paint a picture for you. Imagine you're rebuilding a house after a long storm. The foundation is cracked. The walls are worn. Some rooms are flooded. And you're standing there, looking at the damage, asking, where do I even begin? And the answer isn't, fix it all right now. It's, start with one room, one corner, one wall. Start with the room where the sun hits. In the morning, start where you feel most drawn. Start where your body says, I want to be here. Healing is like that. You don't need to redo everything at once. You don't need to figure it all out. You just need to begin sometimes. That beginning looks like drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning, making your bed. Even when you don't want to, taking a walk without music, just to hear your thoughts speaking kindly to yourself. Even once, when you'd normally criticize, these are the bricks of your new foundation. Tiny, quiet, sacred. Let me tell you about another soul who started from scratch. Her name was Layla. She came to me months after a brutal breakup. Not the kind that ends in rage, but the kind that leaves you hollow. The kind where you gave everything, and it still wasn't enough. She told me, I don't even recognize myself anymore. I poured so much of me into him, there's nothing left. She wasn't exaggerating. She'd spent years shrinking, softening, twisting herself into someone lovable until she couldn't tell the difference between love and survival. But you know what shifted? Not a grand moment, not a dramatic change, just a single day when she looked in the mirror and said, "I want to remember who I was before I stopped choosing myself." That was her start. She didn't rush. She didn't overhaul her life overnight. She just began rebuilding slowly. She bought herself flowers. She cooked meals she loved. She started journaling every night with the same prompt. What part of me did I honor today? And piece by piece, brick by brick, she came home to herself. That's what I want for you. Not to bounce back. Not to become stronger, but to return gently to who you were before the world demanded. You abandon yourself. I want to ask you a question now. Not for an answer, just for reflection. Who were you before the world told you who to be? Before the pressure, before the roles, before the coping, before the shutdown? Who were you deep down? What did you love? What did you dream about? What made you feel alive? Even if you can't answer that right now, it's okay. The asking is enough. It plants a seed, and if you water that seed with rest, kindness, curiosity, it will grow. Now, let's talk about something a little harder. Something you might not even realize you're doing. Self-sabotage. You see, sometimes when you finally start to feel better, when the weight lifts just a little, when things begin to feel calm, your mind panics. Wait. This can't be right. I must be missing something. I don't deserve to feel okay. And so, you disrupt your own peace. You overthink. You pick fights. You isolate. You fall back into habits you were just starting to break. Again. Not your fault. It's not stupidity. It's not laziness. It's not weakness. It's protection. Your mind is just used to pain, comfortable with chaos. It's like a thermostat that's been set too low, and the moment the room warms up, it kicks in to cool things down again. But you can rewire that thermostat with awareness, with gentleness, with repetition when peace feels foreign. Stay with it anyway. When joy feels fragile, let yourself enjoy it anyway. When rest feels unearned, take it anyway. That's how you teach your body and mind that safety is not a trick. It's real, it's yours, and it doesn't have to be paid for with suffering. Let's take another breath. Let your inhale be quiet. Let your exhale be honest. Let your body melt just a little deeper into the place where you are. You're not rushing anymore. You're not chasing anymore. You're not fighting to be okay. You're allowing, and that's powerful. You know what else I want you to allow? Hope. I know hope can feel dangerous, like a setup for disappointment, like something that gets yanked away the moment you reach for it. But hope, real hope, is not blind, it's not naive. It's the quiet belief that no matter how dark it gets, the light will find you again, and it will, because you are no longer the person who abandons yourself. You are no longer the person who believes they must earn love. You are no longer the person who pretends they're fine just to be accepted. You are becoming, and becoming is the bravest thing you will ever do. So tonight, rest knowing this. Your healing is not performative. You don't have to document it. You don't have to prove it. You don't even have to understand it all yet. You just have to stay with it, with the breath, with the fire, with this moment. Let your eyes close now, if they haven't already. Let the world fade. Let the pressure go. Let the future rest for another day. You're here, and that is enough. You're breathing, and that is enough. You're healing, quietly, gently, honestly, and that is enough. I'll be here when you return. The fire will still be warm. The voice will still be soft, and the truth will still be waiting. It's not your fault. You are allowed to rest now. You are allowed to begin again, and you are deeply believed. You've returned, even after everything, the noise, the weight, the silence. You came back. That says something beautiful about your spirit. You haven't given up on yourself. Not fully, not yet, and I'm proud of you for that. So let's go back to the fire again. The glow is still warm. The shadows are still soft. The night is still here, holding you like a long, deep breath. Let your body settle into the space again. Let the noise of the day dissolve. No one is asking for anything now. No one needs anything from you. It's okay to be empty. It's okay to have nothing to give tonight. Just be here, be still, be safe. We're going to talk about something tender. Tonight, something heavy, something real. Grief, not just grief from death, but the kind of grief that creeps in quietly. When you let go of the version of life you thought you were going to have. The job that didn't work out. The relationship that unraveled. The friendship that faded. The health that declined. The family that broke apart. The dreams that just didn't come true. That's grief too. And it hurts deeply. No one really prepares us for this kind of grief, because it doesn't come with flowers, or funerals, or sympathy cards. It comes with silence, with scrolling through old pictures and wondering what went wrong, with late night thoughts that say, it wasn't supposed to be like this. And I want to tell you something now, something gentle. You are allowed to grieve the version of life you imagined. You are allowed to feel disappointed, confused, angry, or numb. You are allowed to say, I tried my best, and it still didn't work. That doesn't make you a failure. That makes you human. And tonight, I want to give you permission, maybe, for the first time, to grieve it all. Not to rush past it. Not to stay positive. Not to fix it, but to honor it. Let me tell you a story. There was a man named Imran for 10 years. He built a business he believed in with his whole heart. He gave it everything, his time, his money, his energy, his identity. And then it collapsed. Economic shifts, a partner's betrayal, and just like that, everything was gone. He came to me not just with financial loss, but with this haunted, hollow expression. And he said, I don't even miss the business. I miss who I was when I still believed it would work. That's what grief does. It doesn't just take away what you loved. It takes away who you were when you still had hope. And that's a double loss. The thing, and the version of you that loved it. But here's the truth. You're allowed to start again, even without closure, even without answers, even with nothing but ashes. Because what defines you isn't what you lost, it's what you choose to rebuild. Let's take a breath, because I know that was a lot. Let your exhale carry some of that weight. Let it leave your shoulders, your jaw, your chest, even if only a little. You're not meant to carry it all alone. You're not meant to carry it forever. Now, let's talk about the pressure to move on. You've probably heard it before. Everything happens for a reason. Just look on the bright side. You'll find something better. People mean well, but sometimes their words bypass your pain, because real grief doesn't follow a clean timeline. It loops, it echoes, it resurfaces when you least expect it. And that's not weakness. That's healing. Healing doesn't always mean letting go. Sometimes it just means learning how to carry the loss differently, not as a wound that bleeds every time you remember, but as a scar that says, yes, this mattered, yes, it hurt, and yes, I survived. Here's what no one tells you. You don't have to be okay with what happened. You don't have to pretend it made you stronger. You don't have to find a silver lining. You just have to feel to say, this wasn't fair. This broke me. I didn't deserve that. And then, maybe slowly you'll find the part of yourself that still wants to live, not just exist. Not just endure, but live. Let me share something else. Something gentle. There was a woman named Sana. She lost her mother when she was 24. But the grief didn't hit her all at once. It came in waves, birthdays, holidays, recipes she could no longer replicate. She told me, people keep telling me to accept it, but I don't think grief works that way. I think I just learned to carry it better. And she was right. Grief isn't a box you check off. It's not something you finish. It's a companion. It walks beside you, sometimes loudly, sometimes quietly, but always honestly. And when you stop trying to get over it, you can finally begin to walk with it, not against it. So tonight, I want to invite you to honor your grief, whatever form it takes. If you've lost a version of your life, a version of yourself, a person, a dream, a future, you don't have to explain it. You don't need permission. You just need presence. Let your heart say, that mattered. I miss it. I'm still healing. And that's enough now. Let's imagine something soft. You're standing in a field at dawn. The sun is rising, slowly, golden, gentle, forgiving. In your hands, you're holding a box. Inside it are the memories, the could-have-beens, the wishes, the what-ifs. And instead of burying it, instead of throwing it away, you simply place it at your feet. You say, thank you, you mattered, and I need to keep going now. You turn, you walk forward, not because you're done grieving, but because you're done abandoning yourself. And that changes everything. Let's take another breath. Let the quiet hold you. Let your body exhale. You don't need to be better by tomorrow. You don't need to know what comes next. You just need to stay soft. Stay honest. Stay open, because grief doesn't take away your future. It just asks you to write a new one. And it won't look like the old one. It might not even feel familiar at first, but it will be yours. And maybe it will be even more true. So tonight, rest with this truth. It's okay to mourn what could have been. It's okay to feel lost sometimes. It's okay to carry sadness that never fully leaves. That's part of being human. But don't forget, there's still more life for you. More laughter, more safety, more peace, more love. You don't have to rush into it, but don't close your heart to it either. Grief and hope can live side by side. They can walk the same path. They can belong to the same story. Your story, and it's not over yet. So close your eyes, breathe slowly. Feel the warmth of the fire again. Feel your body begin to trust the stillness. Feel the presence of something deeper than pain. You are not broken. You are grieving. You are healing. You are becoming. And you are not alone, even here, even now. It's not your fault. You're back, still breathing, still choosing to show up, even if you're tired, even if you're hurting, even if the world hasn't noticed your quiet strength yet. I notice, and I'm proud of you. Take a breath with me, nice and slow. Let the outside world stay outside. Let your body take up space again. You don't need to shrink here. You don't need to perform. This moment belongs to you, so get comfortable. Lay your head down. Close your eyes if you haven't already, and let the fire soft and steady hold your attention. Tonight, we're going to talk about something many people carry, but few talk about. It's a quiet weight, one that hides beneath smiles and "I'm fine." It often sounds like "I don't want to disappoint anyone. I just want to be liked. If I say no, they'll think I'm selfish." This weight has a name, people-pleasing. And if that sounds familiar, you're not alone. So many of us were taught directly or indirectly that our safety, our love, and even our survival depended on being likable, agreeable, or useful. We were raised to believe that kindness means self-sacrifice. Love means saying yes, even when we want to say no. Being good means never being a burden. But here's the truth you might not have heard before. You don't have to betray yourself to be loved. Let that sink in. You don't have to twist yourself into something palatable. You don't have to hide your needs to earn belonging. You don't have to abandon your voice to be safe. Let me tell you a story. Her name was Amina. She was the glue in her family, the helper, the fixer, the one who held everything together. At work, she was the overachiever. In relationships, she gave endlessly. But when she sat with me for the first time, she whispered, "I don't think anyone really knows me. They just love the version of me that gives. Can you relate?" She was exhausted, not just physically, but emotionally. Because when you spend your whole life managing other people's emotions, you forget how to feel your own. So we started small. I asked her, "What do you need today?" And she froze. Not because the question was hard, but because no one had ever asked her before. People pleasers often lose connection with their own needs, because they're too busy anticipating everyone else's. Let me tell you something important. Needing is not weakness. Asking is not selfish. Saying no is not mean. And boundaries are not walls. They are doors. They say, "This is what I allow in. This is what I will not tolerate. This is how I protect the peace I've worked so hard to build." If you've never had boundaries before, setting them will feel scary. You'll feel guilty. You might think you're hurting people, but guilt is not always a sign of wrongdoing. Sometimes it's just a symptom of new behavior. You're not being cruel. You're just finally honoring yourself. Let's pause. Breathe. In through your nose, out through your mouth. As you breathe, think of one place in your life where you've been overextending, where you've been saying yes when your body wanted to say no. Just notice it. Don't judge. Don't rush to change. Just notice. Awareness is the first act of self-respect. Now, here's something people pleasers don't always realize. When you overgive, you don't create connection. You create imbalance. Because the people who truly love you, the ones who see you, they don't want just your service. They want your truth, your realness, your no as much as your yes. If someone only values you when you agree with them, that's not love. If someone only respects you when you sacrifice, that's not respect. You are not here to keep everyone else comfortable at your own expense. Let me ask you this. What would your life look like if you stopped performing? If you let people see the parts of you that feel inconvenient? If you let your no be as sacred as your yes? What kind of peace could you experience then? That's what healing offers. Not perfection, not popularity, but peace. And peace often begins when you choose to disappoint others rather than betray yourself. That's not selfish, that's sacred. Let me share one more story. There was a man named Uzair. He was always the one people called when they were in crisis. He'd drop everything, miss sleep, miss meals, miss his own needs, because helping made him feel valuable. But slowly, it wore him down, until he began resenting the very people he was trying to help. That's what happens when your giving has no limits. Love turns to burnout. Kindness turns to anger. Presence turns to obligation. So he started learning a simple but powerful phrase. Let me get back to you. It gave him space. It let him pause. It reminded him that he had a choice. And you do too. You have a choice to rest, to say no, to stop explaining, to stop apologizing for your own needs. Let's breathe again. Let your chest rise softly. Let your jaw unclench. Let your body remember what it feels like to belong to you. You are not a utility. You are not a product. You are not a collection of favors. You are a person, a soul, a heart, deserving of care without condition. You don't have to earn rest. You don't have to earn love. You don't have to keep proving your goodness. You are already enough. Right here, right now, just as you are. So tonight, I want you to imagine this. You are standing in a room filled with people. Every one of them has a request, a need, an expectation. But instead of rushing to meet them all, you pause, you place your hand on your heart, and you ask one simple question. What do I need right now? And then, for once, you honor the answer. That is what healing sounds like. That is what boundaries feel like. That is what self-love begins with. You've spent so long taking care of everyone else, but tonight, let someone take care of you. Even if it's just this voice, in this quiet moment, reminding you, you matter. You don't have to perform. You don't have to pretend. Your no is sacred. Your yes is powerful. Your peace is valid. Let yourself rest in that. Let yourself feel how good it is to stop fighting for worthiness. You are already worthy before the pleasing, before the exhaustion, before the mask. Let it fall. Let yourself be real. Let yourself be you, and in case no one told you today, you're not a bad person for having needs. You're not broken for being tired. You're not selfish for wanting rest. You're human, and you're allowed to come home to yourself. Even now, even here, especially here. So let go of the need to be everything for everyone. You've done enough now. Let your breath slow. Let your body soften. Let the fire warm the parts of you that haven't felt seen in years. You are not a machine. You are not a fixer. You are not a servant. You are a person, and you are deeply, deeply loved. You came back again. That says so much about your spirit. Not just your strength, but your hope. Even if you don't feel hopeful right now, even if you're still carrying doubt, the fact that you're here, still listening, still breathing, still open, that is a quiet, radical kind of courage. So come closer. Let the fire warm your thoughts. Let the weight of your day dissolve. You don't have to guard yourself here. You don't have to explain anything. Just breathe and listen, because tonight we're going to talk about something many people crave, and many people fear: trust. More specifically, learning how to trust again, after you've been let down, after you've been betrayed, after you've given your heart to people who didn't know how to hold it. Let's be honest, trust isn't easy, not when it's been broken. It's not just about doubting others. Sometimes it's about doubting yourself. How did I not see it coming? Why did I stay so long? Can I even trust my own judgment? These questions haunt people, and I want to start here. You are not stupid for loving someone who hurt you. You're not weak for giving second chances. You're not broken because someone mishandled your heart. You were doing what humans are wired to do: connect, care, hope. And if someone took advantage of that, it says far more about them than it ever will about you. But what happens next? Because once trust is fractured, our minds build walls. You become careful, too careful. You don't just close the door, you deadbolt it. Even the people who want to love you now. You keep them at arm's length. Not because you don't want connection, but because connection feels dangerous. I get it. But here's the truth. Walls don't just keep the pain out. They keep the love out too. And healing doesn't mean tearing those walls down overnight. It means learning to build boundaries, not barricades. It means teaching your nervous system that safety can exist, slowly, quietly, again. Let me tell you about someone. Her name was Eriba. She'd been through betrayal. Not just once, but repeatedly. Friends, family, partners. Each time she trusted someone, they used her. Each time she opened up, she was silenced. By the time I met her, she was numb, polite, smiling. Guarded, she said to me, "I'd rather be lonely than vulnerable again." And I understood. Because that's what pain teaches us. To shrink, to shield, to avoid. But there's a difference between protection and prison. And Ariba had locked herself in. So we started small. She didn't jump into new relationships. She didn't force herself to move on. She just started showing up with one person, in one moment, with one truth. Not a big one. Just enough to feel seen. And when that truth was received with kindness, something shifted. Her wall didn't collapse, but a window opened. That's what I want for you. Not blind trust, not reckless vulnerability, but measured softness. The kind that says, I'll share, but I'll observe. I'll open, but I'll protect what matters. I'll connect, but I'll stay rooted in myself. Because true trust doesn't start with others. It starts with you. With trusting your gut, trusting your voice, trusting your intuition when it whispers, this feels right, or this doesn't feel safe. Let's pause. Let your breath remind you that you're here. Let your body know it doesn't need to flinch. Let your heart soften, not collapse, just soften. Because love, real love, doesn't require you to disappear. If someone asks you to become smaller, to hide your pain, to adjust your truth just to be loved, that's not love. That's control. And you are done shrinking. Here's something people forget. You are not the same person you were when you got hurt. You have new eyes now. You've learned. You've grown. You've reconnected with your boundaries. And you don't need to fear being fooled again. Because now you listen to yourself. You don't override red flags. You don't abandon your instincts just to be accepted. And even if trust is slow, that's okay, it should be. Trust that's earned slowly tends to last. Let me offer a small practice. Think about someone you've pushed away, not because they were harmful, but because you were afraid. Ask yourself, did they show up consistently? Did they honor my no? Did I feel safe to be quiet with them? If yes, maybe there's space to try again. To let your wall drop just a little. And if the answer is no, then honor that. Not everyone deserves access to your heart. But that doesn't mean no one ever will. Let me share one more story. There was a man named Hamza. After his divorce, he swore he'd never love again. Not because he didn't want to, but because he couldn't imagine surviving another heartbreak. He spent years numbing, distracting, staying busy until one day he met someone who didn't ask for his love, only his presence. She didn't demand vulnerability. She just stayed steady, and slowly he noticed, I don't feel rushed. I don't feel watched. I feel safe. That was his turning point. Not fireworks, not grand confessions, just safety, consistent, quiet, warm. That's how trust is rebuilt. Not with noise, but with calm. Let's breathe together again. Let your shoulders drop. Let your belly soften. Let your nervous system rest. This is the feeling we're working toward. Not perfection, not control, but peace. The kind that says, I can let people in slowly, wisely, safely. Tonight, remember, you're allowed to want love again. You're allowed to fear it, too. You don't need to explain why you're cautious. You just need to stay honest with yourself. You've been through enough. Now you get to choose who comes in, who stays, who gets to hold your softness, and who doesn't. And above all, you are not broken just because you're healing. You are not unlovable just because you've been hurt. You are not too much, or too guarded, or too complicated. You are human. You are learning. You are returning to yourself. And the right people, they won't rush you. They won't resent your healing. They will hold space for it and celebrate it. Because the version of you that protects your peace, that version is powerful. That version is precious. That version is ready. So, as the fire softens, as the night deepens, let your body trust this moment. You're not who you were. You're not where you used to be. And your future is still unfolding. Let it come. Let it surprise you. Not every chapter has to start with pain. Some can begin with peace. And in case no one told you tonight, you're allowed to trust again at your pace. You're allowed to love again with better boundaries. You're allowed to feel safe again without apology. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to begin. And most of all, it's not your fault. You're still here after all the nights when it would have been easier to go numb. After all the moments you were harder on yourself than anyone else ever could be. You're still showing up. That alone is something to be proud of. So tonight, I want you to settle in. Let your breath come easy. Let the background soften. You're safe now. And we're going to talk about something many people avoid, but something that's necessary for real peace. Not forgiveness of others, forgiveness of self. I know you've asked yourself this before. Why did I do that? Why didn't I leave sooner? How could I let them treat me that way? Why did I mess everything up? And if you're anything like the many souls I've spoken to, you don't just carry regret. You carry shame, and shame is heavy. It doesn't speak in facts. It whispers in your own voice. You deserved it. You're not worthy now. This is who you really are. But let me tell you a truth that might change everything. You were surviving. That's it. You were doing the best you could, with what you had, with what you knew, with what your nervous system could handle at the time. And that doesn't mean every decision was good. That doesn't mean the pain wasn't real. But it means this: you don't need to punish yourself forever for what you did when you were just trying to make it through. Let me tell you a story. His name was Cameron. For years, he lived with guilt about a friendship he let fall apart. He didn't fight for it. He didn't explain himself. He just disappeared. And years later, he said, I wasn't trying to hurt him. I was just drowning. I didn't have the language back then. I didn't even know I was in survival mode. That's what people don't see. When you're overwhelmed, emotionally shut down, or stuck in trauma, you don't always make graceful exits. You don't write poetic apologies. You don't process things healthily. You react. You withdraw. You avoid, because you're not functioning from peace. You're functioning from fear. And while that doesn't erase the impact on others, it also doesn't make you evil. It makes you human. So tonight, I want to say something simple and direct and kind. You are allowed to forgive yourself, even if no one else has. Even if someone still blames you. Even if you think you need to earn it. Because here's what forgiveness really means. It means recognizing that the person you were back then is not the person you are now. It means acknowledging the pain, learning from it, and choosing not to live there anymore. It means releasing the story that says you're past. Mistakes define your worth. They don't. They never did. Let's breathe. Let that idea settle into your body. You're not your worst moment. You're not your lowest season. You're not the version of yourself that operated from fear, confusion, or desperation. You are the version of you who is trying now to be better, to live with more awareness, to move with more integrity, to love with more truth. And that effort matters. There's something else people don't talk about enough. The grief of who you were. Yes, grief. Not judgment, not shame, but mourning, because sometimes we look back and see a version of ourselves we don't recognize, a version who allowed things we wouldn't allow now, a version who tolerated abuse, stayed silent, or disappeared, and it hurts, so we lash out, inward. We call ourselves weak, naive, stupid, but the truth is, you were doing the best you could with the tools you had. And when you finally get new tools, like boundaries, therapy, emotional vocabulary, you start seeing the past more clearly. That's not a reason for guilt. That's a sign of growth. You couldn't have done better before, because you didn't know better. But you do now, and that's why the cycle ends with you. Let's pause. Place your hand on your chest. If you feel safe doing so, feel your breath. Feel your body still existing, even after all you've carried. Feel the steady beat of a heart that refused to give up. Now whisper to yourself softly, even just in thought, I'm learning, I'm healing. I'm allowed to forgive myself. Let me tell you about someone else. Her name was Sarah. She spent years numbing her pain through control, overworking, overthinking, overachieving. She pushed people away. She missed milestones. She ignored her body's cries for rest. By the time she reached out for help, she said, I'm not even mad at anyone else. I'm mad at myself for wasting so much time. But time is never wasted if you're still learning. And Sarah, she wasn't wasted time. She was survival. And now, she was finally safe enough to grow. Forgiveness didn't come easy, but it came with every day she chose kindness over self-criticism. With every morning she said, I'm proud of myself for trying. With every step she took back toward her own body, her own voice, her own soul. Let me ask you something now. What if you're not here to be perfect? What if you're here to be present? What if your past didn't ruin your future, but prepared you to meet it with more compassion? What if the very shame you carry could become the soil for your greatest wisdom? Because here's what's true. The ones who've fallen, the ones who've hurt others unintentionally, the ones who've made messy, emotional, impulsive choices, those are the people who carry the deepest empathy. If they choose healing, they become the safest places for others to heal too. You could be that. You are becoming that. And it starts by saying, I'm not proud of everything I did, but I'm proud of who I'm choosing to become. Take a breath now, not a shallow one, a full one. This is my life, and I'm allowed to take up space in it kind of breath. Let your exhale release the guilt. Let it fall like ash. You don't need it anymore. If no one has told you this before, let me be the first. You don't have to keep paying for your past. You don't need to keep bleeding for choices you made when you were just trying to survive. You've suffered enough now. You get to rest. You get to soften. You get to come back home to yourself, without punishment, without shame, without begging for permission. This is your permission. This is your grace. This is your turning point. So tonight, as the fire flickers gently, as your body sinks into rest, as your mind quiets just enough to let peace in, whisper this to yourself. I release the version of me that didn't know better. I forgive the one who was trying to stay alive. I honor the strength it took to make it here, because you did make it. You're here, breathing, listening, healing. And even now, it's not your fault. You made it through every heavy word, through every pause and breath and memory that rose up along the way, through the doubts, through the shadows, through the ache of facing what you've carried. You made it, and I'm proud of you. Tonight isn't about fixing everything. It's not about tying your story into a neat little bow. It's not even about having clarity. Tonight is about peace. Not perfect peace, not performative peace, but a real, gentle, quiet stillness inside of you. The kind that says, even if I don't have it all figured out, I am still worthy of rest. So rest. You're allowed to now. Before we say goodnight, let's gather what we've walked through together. You've learned how to sit with your pain instead of running from it. You've learned that your softness is not weakness. It's a sign of survival. You've remembered that what you feel is valid, even if no one else sees it. You've forgiven yourself, maybe for the first time. You've realized you're not broken, just healing. And perhaps most importantly, you've remembered that it's not your fault, not the trauma you endured, not the love you didn't receive, not the way others mistreated your open heart. You didn't cause it, you don't deserve it, and you don't have to keep carrying it. So what now? What happens after this? You return not to the world's noise, not to its expectations, but to yourself, to your breath, to your values, to your voice, because healing is not a finish line. It's a relationship with yourself, with your past, with the future you are slowly making room for. And the more time you spend in quiet moments like this, the easier it becomes to hear that voice inside you again. Not the voice of fear, not the voice of guilt, not the voice of shame, but the voice of you. The voice that says, I know who I am now. I don't have to be everything to everyone. I just have to be honest with myself. Let's breathe in and out. Let it be enough. Let the rhythm of your body remind you, you are safe, right now, right here. There's nothing left to prove, no one left to impress. No more pretending, just truth, just stillness, just you. Let me tell you a final story. There was a woman named Sarah. She had spent years building herself around what others expected of her. The perfect friend, the loyal partner, the responsible daughter. But when everything in her life collapsed, she didn't recognize herself anymore. She came to me and said, I don't know who I am without people needing me. We spent months slowly taking apart the roles she had worn like armor. And underneath all of it, we found someone kind, gentle, smart, funny, and deeply, deeply tired. One night in our final session, she whispered. I think I finally like who I am when I'm alone. And that's it. That's the peace I want. For you, the peace of being with yourself and not feeling like you have to escape. Because here's what I've learned. The strongest people aren't the ones who always push through. They're the ones who finally learned to pause, to ask for help, to cry when they need to say I'm not okay without shame. And still they show up, with tenderness, with truth, with quiet. Power, that's you. That can be you. Maybe it already is. Tonight, I want you to remember something. You are not a burden. You are not too much. You are not falling behind. You are unfolding exactly as you're meant to. You don't need to rush. You don't need to catch up. Healing happens in seasons. And sometimes, the most powerful growth happens in the softest silence, in rest, in reflection, in these exact kinds of moments. So lay here. Let the fire keep glowing in your mind. You don't have to speak. You don't have to explain. Let your body loosen. Let your breath slow. Let the final embers of the pain you carried fade, not because it didn't matter, but because you no longer owe it your entire identity. You are more than your wounds, more than your past, more than your mistakes. You are a story still being written, and it's already beautiful. And if you forget everything else I've said tonight, please remember this. You are still lovable, even with your scars, even with your fears, even with the mess you haven't cleaned up yet. You are still allowed to dream, to rest, to fall apart and rebuild again and again. You are still allowed to begin. And if no one else shows up to remind you of that truth, let this voice be your reminder. Let this moment be your mirror. Let this rest be your gift. Let's breathe one final time, nice and slow. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Feel the world pause around you. Feel your chest rise and fall. Feel your eyes grow heavier. You don't need to do anything more tonight. The fire is still burning. The space is still yours. And the healing you've done will echo long after this moment ends. You've made it this far, and now you rest. Because you are safe, you are held, you are healing, you are becoming, and it's not your fault.